Loic Sadashiva and Julia Sophia discuss today the Neptune square Pluto transit that Loic went through as a younger man. And here's the text from the book that Julia and I have written, Neptune square Pluto. Our inspired imagination and creative narrative forces greater awareness by being at cross purposes with our greater evolutionary process. On a generational level, power that has been abused through deceptive means can be exposed, or extend its influence even further through hidden, obscure means. Feelings and experiences that cannot logically be affirmed or appreciated by our generation, family, or social circle may emerge and seek a creative outlet, yet will fester underneath the surface if we repress the force. So this transit is experienced by the same age group as us at the same time, but it doesn't change the fact that we experience it personally. So these kind of transits where a generation is involved, they tend to be slower and more important, and they last quite a long time. They set your generation up for its collective history in which you take your own part. So this is the backdrop of your own life circumstances.
Welcome, Loic. Today we're going to talk about your Neptune square Pluto transit, which you had when you were 16. And transiting Neptune was squaring your natal Pluto in the 6th house in Scorpio. So try to remember what was going on in this time of your life and perhaps how this tension aspect played out for you during that time.
For those who don't know, well, I'm from Guadeloupe Island, so that's where my ancestry is from. So at that time I was back home and I had my education. I was 16, so I was in my last year of high school and everything like that. But I think that mostly the clash and the tension was about the vision that I had for myself in terms of who I was and what I wanted to do next in my life, right? I was 16, so I was coming down towards the end of my teenage years, towards my young adult life. So I was dealing with that decision of, okay, now that I'm 16 and in my last grade of high school, what am I going to do in life? Am I going to be the doctor that I originally wanted to do, and what was also the type of examples or passion that I had that connected me to that way or that work profession that I wanted to be. So it was confusing. I had a tension between what I've learned so far, my education, my educational surrounding, and who I am and what I'm probably quote unquote meant to do. So that was really the tension.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Neptune is a force that guides our imagination. So it's how we make meaning in the world. So how did you experience in this confusing period the making of meaning and also the creative aspect of Neptune?
Well, it's so funny because I think that transit started by me recognizing actually the imagination or the manifestation of the vision of other people. And when I'm saying other people, I'm talking about the French nationals, the entity that is France, and the whole vision that they have for Guadeloupe in terms of education. So the French education system, or even the mores, let's say the social mores, whether it's practices, food culture, heritage, all of that, they did have an agenda in place. And it's called the Frenchization of things. It's like almost like they had like a cultural program that they had for Guadeloupean people. And I was at that time, I felt like I was starting to realize that I was participating, or I was a participant or a victim, let's say, I don't know which one, but a victim of that program. And that was really important because that was the realization. Oh my God, like, am I really dreaming out? Am I in the imagination, my own imagination, or am I in the world of another entity? And I felt like that was the realization for me. I was participating in the world of French nationals, and I was not living my imagination. So that was the clash here. That was like, okay, a point of realization that um I need to start building my dream. So it started to kind of decolonizing my mind into like, what is the dreams that I was a part of, that I was kind of anesthetized by.
Can I just make the point that your Pluto at 21 degrees of Scorpio, the Sabian symbol, is a soldier derelict in his duty. And the image of a conscientious objector. We are tested to find out how deep and authentic is our conscience. There is no escaping this, because spiritual values are at variance with the values of society to a significant degree. It's very close to what you've just been saying, isn't it?
Mm. And you've mentioned powerful Neptunian keywords as well. You said anesthetized, and actually when Neptune was discovered, that's when they discovered anesthetics. So that's very interesting, historically speaking. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that happened during that period too. I feel like I had a visceral reactions to the programs that I was in, that I was a part of, because there was also an erasure of local histories. So because there were not a preservation of local histories, and there is all of this aspect of integrating the French national system, the dilution of the distinct local histories and the erasure of the resourcefulness of a people because it was overpowered by national histories, I think that I was compelled to want more. I was compelled to actually align myself with an imagination that were more respectful of the creative imagination of those who came before me. And it was not the case. I was part of a system that was not acknowledging the imaginations and the creative resourcefulness of those people who came before me. And that was not something that I was trying to be a part of. So that's also something. I was not nourished soulfully. I was not nourished. I didn't understand who I was at that time. I resent the vision that they had, and I needed to create a vision when I could recognize who I was and what I was capable of, because that also is something that I was not aware of because of that erasure.
Mm-hmm. So did this process then lead you to feel an urge towards freedom?
Yeah. So at that time also I was an elite athlete, so I was traveling a lot. So that's one thing to be really important. I was at my last school of my last year of high school, but I was traveling. What I actually thought is that the vision that France has of nation building would kind of not bring worlds of belonging to myself. I was not belonging in that world. That's one thing. So that system, or the systemic forgetting of that, led me to understand, okay, where am I going to find a world that is going to have more reverence to my creativity, to my storytelling, instead of indulging myself in a system that is making its mission to not understand your story. I needed to find a way where my storytelling and my stories and my creativity will be respected. So that was one thing. And the thing is that I understood that how can I be part of a system that is silencing the story of history. That if they're silencing the creative imagination of people, how am I going to have my story free? So I had to ask my question, okay, how can my creative output not be silenced, and understand that my creative output is what needs to be free so that I can evolve?
Can I ask, did this vision of that need to be free to express yourself creatively, did it last, or was it a momentary feeling for that period of your life?
It definitely lasted, and it still is. I think it's the motivator, the motivation factor of my existence, because it's connected to my voice. I talked about being silenced. When it comes to voice, your voice is related to your power. So it's that which is propel me to be visible in the world, to be emancipated. So it definitely lasted, and it created the motivation to move, to step out. So yeah, I asked myself, how can my creative output, my created possibilities through my storytelling be freed? And it still is the case now. I'm still finding ways, even by being in America and by the studies that I'm doing now, I'm still finding ways to, how can I have my voice, or how can I have my creativity freed? And I need to be in a container where that is evolving, always evolving, not stagnated or stifled or muffled. I need to have my creativity move towards my evolution. So I'm consciously finding stations in my life now. And I think it was triggered by that experience, when I finding station in my life where that creativity will be not only respected, but also have the space to be free so that I can evolve.
So it's a journey of self-empowerment as well.
Yeah, definitely is.
Thank you.